Hello. So today we will be talking about one of the impacts of climate change, which is sea level rise in the Gulf Coast. So this is just an overview of what we're going to be talking about today. So just as some background information, sea level rise is one of the most severe consequences of global climate change. Currently, millions of people in low-lying coastal communities are being threatened by sea level rise. As you can see on the graph on the left, the global sea level has been constantly increasing for the past century and a half or so. And in certain places, especially the Gulf Coast along the United States' coast, people are being extremely affected here. The average sea levels have increased by about half an inch per year since 2010 in the Gulf Coast. And this is about three times the global average. And just for reference, this is the map of the Gulf. So you can see how a lot of places are being affected in the United States and in Mexico. And so a little bit of science behind this sea level rise is that it's been found that there has been significant amplification of the annual sea level cycle from the 1990s in the Gulf Coast. So this means that the sea levels in the winter have been much lower than normal and have been much higher during the summer. And this amplitude increase can be explained by two things. One is the due to the changes in the air surface temperature in the warmer summers and in the colder winters, and two being the changes in the mean sea level pressure.
Next, we're going to talk about the categories of impact of sea level rise in the Gulf Coast, and that includes environmental, economic, and population impacts. So first is environmental impact, and rising sea levels pose a threat to coastal wetlands, and wetlands are very important to the environment. They're valuable for the marine life, they provide habitat, and they're also important for food security, and they help to mitigate flooding. And a majority of the land loss is caused by inundation or flooding. And then on the right here, these maps show some of the different causes of land loss, which are erosion of wetlands next to major bodies of water, salinity stress causing loss of freshwater wetlands, and excessive inundation. And in the graph, the three on the left, you can see how the red slowly disappears, and that's the salt marshes disappearing in about 37 years. And then on the right, you can see how a lot of that is due to inundation collapse, which is the increase of orange throughout the years. Next, we have the economic impact of sea level rise, and flooding is an increasingly prevalent hazard, and it's a risk to coastal properties and to crops as well. So that's some of the ways that it affects the economy. And you can see by these graphs here that between 2017 and 2050, there's going to be a lot of losses, up to 203 million due to building loss. And then on the graph on the right, total losses for a 100-year storm surge, flood event in Grand Isle, Louisiana. Again, there's over 250 million total losses for some of these scenarios. And lastly, we have population impact. Flooding from Hurricane Ida is estimated to have taken 106 square miles of shoreline from Louisiana. And this loss of land and buildings is going to have to cause people to relocate. And a 2017 University of Georgia study estimated more than 500,000 people will flee the seven parish New Orleans area by 2100. And people are already leaving because of these high-risk areas, from these high-risk areas along the shoreline, because it's eroding. And lastly, sea level rise will lead to more flooding and greater exposure to storm surges. So again, this is going to destroy homes and cause people to leave.
Next, we're going to go over the current efforts to address these issues. So over the years, Louisiana has created different efforts to try and mitigate the effect is diverting the Mississippi River. So basically, as you can see on the picture on your right, you can see how the Mississippi River runs right by the coastal line here. And we'll actually talk about this Bayou Lambok in a second. So basically, their plan would be to divert some of the fresh water from the river into the wetlands. And by diverting the river, they're actually bringing sediment from the river into the wetlands, which will settle into it and create new land. This has been previously successful in the past, which is the Lamoke freshwater diversion, which you can see on this map here. Actually, if you look over here, you can see that on the river, you can see how the diversion comes across and how it's greener along this diversion. And that's because the fresh water from the river is traveling through that area and releasing sediment into the region. This plan would include because of the success of this previous program, they're going to create new diversions to create more wetland and more sediment in the area. Just to continue on this, while the river diversion is a popular choice from the Louisiana government, they also have their more tried and true methods. So in light of these increasing flooding and storms and the increasing sea level, the Louisiana government has begun to hone in on the upkeep and construction of its seawalls. However, we can see like from previous storms like Katrina and in the modern day, we can see that those seawalls are kind of ineffective. So in light of that, the Louisiana government has been trying to implement new building codes, which would prevent kind of flooding in the area, and also new pumps that would ensure that the rising tide doesn't affect the residents of the region. And these are references. All right, thank you.